All right, let's solve this exercise. Add binary. So we have two binary strings. So we have strings A and B, which are strings that represent binary numbers, and we want to return their sum as a binary string. And so bottom line, this exercise ends up being really just a matter of understanding the functions, the built-in functions that Python has available. So just to show you the things that we're going to be using, so let's say, so we have A and B. Let's use these examples here. So A and B are string representations of binary numbers. Okay, so what we could do is we really want to work with these as integers. So what you could do is you could like convert A into an integer, but this is when you use the integer function as is, it's going to assume you're in base 10. And this is not what we want to work with. We want to be in base 2. And it turns out we can specify that using an additional argument, if you just look up how the integer function works in Python. So here, we can see that if we convert A to an integer, so if we assume that A is a string representation of an integer written in base 2, then this function will return that number as an integer in base 10. Okay, so the number that's written as 1010 in base 2 is equal to the number 10 in base 10. And we can do a similar thing for B, which, you know, this is just, you can see it's just one more, so this should be 11. And that's exactly what we see here. Okay. And so then, if we want to add these two numbers together, then of course we would just, add these. So we'll just call this S for sum. And so the sum is 21. But this is in base 10. We want to return the result as a binary string. So as a string and in binary. And so there's a function, bin for binary, where you can just plug in a number and it will give you this string. So it has 0b, and then, so the whole thing is a string. The first two characters are 0b, and the remaining characters are a string representation of the number in binary. So what we can do is if we want to get the binary representation as a string, we can just take this, but we don't need those first two characters. So we just get everything after the first two values. So basically what all we really need is we need to understand how to use the integer function with base 2, and then use the binary function, and we need to know its structure so that we know that we can ignore the first two characters. So let's write out what this actually looks like. So total is going to be int a2 plus int b2, and so again, this total, this is going to be the sum as an integer in base 10. But to get the result we want, we have to convert it to a binary string, and we get rid of the first two characters. And so this should just work. So yeah, so this is pretty much just how you go about this exercise. It's pretty straightforward once you know how to do it, but the trick here is really just understanding what tools are available to you in Python. And once you know the available tools, you get this as your solution.